So we've got a Twitter submitted question, which is really rare because I hate using Twitter. I hate social media.
I don't know why anyone uses Twitter anymore. That's such a weird
to follow President Trump and see the ramblings of a man that is detached from reality. Anyways, so Twitter follower Dennis E. Taylor, which, by the way, if you love sci-fi and like sci-fi operas, he's a writer. His whole Bobverse universe, whatever, is such. It's a great trilogy of books. It's one of my favorite sets of sci-fi that I've read in recent years. And believe me, I've read a lot of William Shatner, so I know bad sci-fi.
Yes, you do.
I know bad sci-fi. Tech War, greatest William Shatner series ever written. But Dennis E. Taylor's books, you can get them on Amazon. I'll have a link down below. Dude's rad. He supported us for years. He asked, preseason and in-season conditioning. In parentheses, he says, while lying on the couch moaning in pain. Well, that's your own fault, buddy. But for preseason, so last year I mangled my IT band and my patella tendon. I fully crushed them, basically. Locked my leg up for about 5.5 weeks. It would not bend fully, and I couldn't. It wasn't weight bearing, so lost a bunch of muscle. Worked with my doctor. We didn't want to go the route with surgery because because it's the IT band and the patella tendon. He's like, there's really not much we can do. We can clean out some of the scar tissue. Tough. IT is horrible. I basically stretched it and then tore it.
I've had problems with my IT bands ever since I was like 11.
Yeah. So I went the physical therapy route with this, and it was basically, the way I look at it is, you want to do yoga and keep yourself stretched. Mm-hmm. But you can go overboard with yoga. There's a lot of stretches that they have that are just completely fucking pointless.
Yeah.
So, you want to do any of the ones that really stretch the quads, the hip flexor, the calf, the IT band, anything like that that can really just kind of stretch it, keep it so it's not tight. So I did that, and then I rode the exercise bike a lot. Like, I would average about 10 miles every time I go to the gym.
Yeah, the bike is, I think, underestimated with a lot of people when it comes to rehab and strengthening your legs and knees, because it provides a good range of motion. Just make sure you're supplementing some dynamic movements as well, because you are essentially, to a degree, locked into a range of motion on a bike. So as long as you're supplementing with dynamic movement stuff, so the small supporting muscles are also getting strengthened. But yeah, the bike is amazing because it's zero impact. It gets full range of motion on your knees, so your knee's moving a lot. Mm-hmm. It's really easy on all your structure. The bike is fantastic.
So we do the bike, and I did that for a while until I knew I could be more weight bearing. And then I basically did a lot of band exercises, just resistance bands, anything with resistance training. And then I went to basically the forward leg lift, the inverted leg lift, or leg squat, I guess is what you would call it. I did that, but I would do low weights with high repetition. So it tones you more than builds up your muscle. And that's kind of how I do everything. Like, when I went to the gym today, I biked about 3-4 miles, and then, I did a lot of core exercises. Core is always key. Like, people don't understand how much you actually use from your hips through your core to do everything. So I did a lot of core exercises, balance board, things like that, anything that you can get on. But I believe firmly in low weight, high repetition to just tone everything. Like, with me and because everyone's body is different, for me to gain weight is actually super easy. Like, if I want to gain weight, I can put my mind to it. And I did it this summer. I was just like eating protein and, just eating real lean, a lot of chicken, rice, broccoli, stuff like that. And I bulked up to 235 pounds by about middle of August, and I was like, oh shit, I am way too heavy for snowboard season. So then I dropped myself down to 195. So that's so then by losing that weight, I still had all this muscle. So now I'm just like this ball of muscle, which works. The other thing that they don't talk about is like collagen peptides. I take collagen peptides probably 4 or 5 times a week, usually in a smoothie or something. just to lubricate my joints. I take it with glucosamine chondroitin with MSM and hyaluronic acid. I was also doing the bone broth thing where I was drinking like a shot of, or like a rocks glass full of bone broth every day, boosting my immune system and doing that. And what I've noticed with the collagen peptides and everything is, one, I'm not eating as much ibuprofen for joint pain, and two, my joints just, they seem more fluid and they're not as blown out, and they're not as crunchy. Basically, I used to have a lot of cracking and popping in my knees before I could ride. I went from having to crack and pop my knee probably 5-6 times an hour to maybe I do it once a day now. So that's what I do. I think cardio is really good and key to build that up, especially for Colorado. Like, depending, like when I'm at the basin, it's just hot laps. It's like 2,000-3,000 vertical, depending on how I crisscross the mountain and stuff. It's not a lot. But when I go to Copper, I'll literally be in the east, at the top of the east peak off Super B, and I'll do a whole run and end at the bottom of the west peak over at Timberline. I mean, that's a couple miles on a snowboard.
Yeah.
So ripping around that mountain and stuff. So that's what I do. I know you run.
I run and I mountain bike. That pretty much covers. And then I do yoga. And I like that you brought that up as far as yoga is concerned. And what you have to understand with yoga is it was created by the Hindus in order to ascend to enlightenment through complete control over their own body. That's how yoga was invented. So there's a lot of stuff out there that doesn't necessarily benefit you from an athletic standpoint. There's a lot of stuff out there that is absolutely phenomenal for you from an athletic standpoint. So you just have to get educated on it and just make sure you're using the right poses that actually are functional for that sense, instead of just body control, but actually benefits your body.
Yeah, well, you also got to watch yourself, because I'm convinced that yoga instructors, if this was the 1980s, would be aerobics instructors. There's a lot of people that just fucking want to live the lifestyle, but yeah, bunch of fucking new age nut jobs.
Yeah, and realistically, there's plenty of stuff out there like go to runnersworld.com and look for yoga stuff to do off of there. Go to Pink Bike. Occasionally they post some workout stuff, and look for stuff there. Like, don't just Google yoga poses for this. Like, find a website of an established sport and then try to find a yoga workout that was promoted by those guys. You have a lot higher chance of it being actual functional athletic stretching in yoga poses versus just doing yoga.
Right.
But anyways, yeah. Other than that, yeah, I mountain bike and I run, and that's kind of all I really do at the moment. I used to go to the gym a lot more a couple of years ago, and definitely would probably rather get back into that. It's definitely when I felt the best.
You have a gym literally right across the street from your place.
Yes,
that's
I do.
24 hours. I go there.
Yep, I sure do. But I also just kind of want to get back into climbing too, because I don't really like working out at all. I hate it, actually. That's why I'm mountain biking and run, because I want to be in good shape, but I hate working out. I just don't. It just feels pointless to me, because I don't feel like I'm doing anything. Like, I'm lifting weights so I can lift more weights. It doesn't make my brain feel good.
See, I used to be like that because I was working out with my friend Tim, who's a police officer. So, like, he's all about being big and
scary.
He's scary.
He's not scary at all, but
no,
we loved him.
He's actually not even that big. But he gets pissed because I can put weight on faster than him. But, I was, like, looking at how he was doing things, and I was like, I don't want to do that. And you're right. There is that whole mindset of, like, you start lifting weights to just lift more weights.
Yeah.
And that's, so for me, I went like the opposite. To me, going into the gym is, because I'm so always working on something, like, I realize I never have downtime.
Yeah.
Like, I'm always working on something.
Mm-hmm.
It's a dedicated hour to 2 hours where I'm like, oh, I'm going to go just do this stuff. And I can see, like, what I'm doing. But the other thing was, I looked at, like, all these exercises people were doing, and I was like, that will never benefit you in snowboarding.
Yeah.
So I started working on, well, what's going to build my shoulder up so if I impact like this, it's not going to pop out again. So I did that. and I built up all these muscles. Like I have people in the gym that are like, that really doesn't do anything for what you're trying to do. And I was like, it does everything for me. Like I do this one like shoulder raise that I do where I pinch my shoulder blades, but it's not only with 50 pounds of weight, and just the way it pinches back there though, it's built up this muscle on my shoulder, so when I fall on my back, it just doesn't hurt. Like I can take a hit to the back and be like, ugh, that kind of hurt, but it didn't. It's like last Friday, it was a powder day at Copper. I smoked a tree. Shit happens. I fucking full-blown speared my left shoulder, which is my bad shoulder. Didn't pop out, didn't do anything. Just like, was like, ow, I hit a tree. But that's just because the way I built up like the muscle around the collarbone and just that whole capsule on my shoulder and everything. And it works. But I mean, the other thing is diet. I don't think people talk about diet, and diet and exercise matters a lot. So like if I eat a lot of sugar and then try to snowboard, my knees fucking hate me. They hate me. Which, eating all these Twizzlers, I'm dead tomorrow. Dead. But
at least it doesn't have high fructose corn syrup.
No, that's the one that I really wish people would understand how bad high fructose corn syrup is for you. So I'm allergic to it. It causes my arthritis to really flare bad. Like small amount, I'm okay usually, but if it's something I didn't know it had it and I ate a bunch of it, I'm completely fucked. And that shit is in your bread. It's in your juices. It's in everything. So I've become a label reader, knowing that. And the thing about high fructose corn syrup and the way that it works with your body and everything is like it basically coats around your fat cells, and your body can't break it down, so you don't do it. So when I realized that I had this allergy to it and started taking it more seriously, I ended up losing, I think, 20 pounds. I went a little off the deep end the first 6 months that I had it, because I got down from, I was sitting at like 208, I think, and I got down to 153 or something. And
that's like, really small for you.
Yeah, that's
what I weigh.
But I was eating nothing but fresh. I went on this weird diet where I was eating nothing but fresh fruit and fresh vegetables, and like was not cooking anything. It was like almost all raw, and I was like, I don't know about this. And that was also the same time I quit eating beef too.
Yeah.
And I still don't eat beef, but I'll eat red meat like bison and elk and stuff. So now I've kind of like figured out where I need to be with it. But your diet can have such an effect on your snowboarding too, and it's you can just be lethargic if you're eating like popping sugar and stuff. So it's like I try to find that perfect balance of things that I can eat and just work with it from there. But that's about all I've got for good old Dennis. But seriously, if you love sci-fi, you should go read his books. I will have a link down below. His books just, they're so full of pop culture, and they're funny, and they're just good books. I would read them again in a heartbeat. And I've lent them to a bunch of my friends that are huge sci-fi guys, and they're like, this shit was absolutely hilarious. Never even heard of him. And I was like, yep, no, perfect. So yeah, check out his books.